Welcome to the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show. My name is Anja van Rijn. I'm a life and business reinvention mentor at Success on Your Own Terms, and I'm the founder of the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show. Today, it is my great pleasure to be interviewing Amy Bregy. Amy says that she remembers that as a small child, she felt being connected to the earth, the plants, and especially energy. She could feel things that no one else could. Luckily for her, her parents were open to many things and she was free to explore many religions and paths to find her true path. Recently, she has aligned herself with other mediums and has allowed spirit to guide what her soul purpose is, and helping others have closure or validation in a past or situation in one's life can be life-changing, is what Amy says. Amy, welcome to the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show. How are you?
I'm great this morning. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm always fascinated by meeting all those wonderful ladies who have made things happen in their life. So tell us about your life, about your story, your dream. How did it all happen?
Well, as a small child, I always noticed things and I thought it was natural. I thought everybody, felt the energy and different energies in different areas, and I just was very natural to it. Then as I became older, I became aware that not everybody felt and saw the things that I did. So I kind of was on a journey all my life to find that purpose. What is my purpose here? And always knew from a very small child that there was a purpose for me to do on this earth. So I started naturally going through different religions on my own. My parents weren't particularly religious, but they weren't unopen. They just let me do what I needed to do, which was really fantastic because a lot of people that I've spoken to and I work with in my work with energy healing, they didn't have foundation. And so they suffered a little bit more, as people would call it. As I grew, this ability became stronger. And I would use different tools as tarot. I studied esoterics for 2.5 years, as if you were to go to school. And so it's like a second language to me. Mm-hmm. So I started using the tarot and esoteric reading. I started studying astrology and numerology. I'm very grounded in numerology. I'm always breaking numbers down in my head and get the astrological charting for people to understand who they are and accept what they already know. So that's part of what I do. I do energy healing. I use aromatherapy. I found that aromatherapy actually processes in the brain differently than anything else and can recall memory. So in order for people to be able to release their emotions and release things that are no longer serving them, the aromatherapy helps aid in bringing that emotion or something that they need to release. And it's very helpful.
Interesting. So we will develop that a little later when we go in more details what it is that you do. I'd like to come back first. I mean, this show is about making things happen in your life. So that journey that you have been experiencing is what I'm interested in, so that, you can inspire other women to go for their own journey. So you had all those special gifts, I would say, from a very early age, but have you at some point very consciously decided that you wanted to make that, quote unquote, for a living, that is what you would be doing?
Yes. And when I was a young woman, I always felt that I needed to be in healthcare because I wanted to help people. I always wanted to help people. And when I would talk with people, they seemed to feel better. So I went into healthcare, into laboratory sciences, and enjoyed that work for quite some time. But I just felt that there was something more I could do. I wasn't able to bring them to a place that was empowered. So in your hospital setting, it's on a physical level. So now I'm focusing on the emotional and spiritual level. So I was working in a laboratory, and you day in and day out, and I was doing my soul work, I call it, on the side. So I was basically working two jobs.
Yeah.
So my aha moment came when I was laid off from my job.
Mm.
And the day before, I didn't feel very happy. There was something missing. So I went out and I did my grounding exercises, and I said just to God, the spirit, whatever you want to call it, that please point me in the right direction. Give me a sign that I understand that where I'm supposed to go. And when I went to work, I was laid off that very same day. That was a huge moment. I was upset for about 10 minutes, and I straight away started working on opening and doing the work that I'm guided to do, which I've been doing for 7 years now. It was scary. I was used to a stable income, a paycheck every single week. My husband and my family supported me and said, go do what you need to do. So that's what I did. A lot of things came into my awareness that I might not have picked up on. And it's that part of me is getting stronger. I'm aware of things that are synchronicities that are happening in my life, and I take advantage of them. And if I could instill anything into someone's brain, is to listen to those subtle opportunities that come in and don't dismiss them.
Amy, going back to what you were saying about fear, because that is typically something that a lot of people who want to start their business or go for their dream, whatever, it's not necessarily a business, are facing. And I always say, well, we will be facing fear our entire life anyway. But how did you embrace that fear? How did you manage to go on, and as I often say, use it as a fuel instead of having it paralyze you?
Well, again, being aware of the synchronicities and just taking that moment in, and what does this mean? Why is this happening? Because in some instances, people would be scared to death. I'm losing my income. What am I going to do? But what I did, instead of taking that as a negative, I brought it in as a positive and said, this is a change in my life that I need to embrace, whether how it feels to me right at this moment. I need to see the bigger picture. So what I did is I went into prayer, if that's what you want to call it, and I was led to a place where I could afford to open a small office. And I just followed the signs of my path. So I would go inwardly into the place where I wanted to be. And the path was laid out for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I was
it does to me.
Scared. I wasn't scared. And I still have fears that come up. I had a little bit of fear coming to this interview, but here I am. So you just do it.
I've had my breakfast already. I won't eat you, I promise. No, but I understand, and that's why I'm saying fear is always there. But at some point, it's what we do with it that makes a difference. If we come back to those subtle signs you're talking about, because for you, it is, I would say, common. You know how to recognize signs, but that's not the case for everyone.
Right.
So can you give a few examples maybe of what signs can be?
Okay. Well, of course, the first sign when I asked to put me on the right path, and that was a big change. That was a big sign. I didn't panic. I said, okay, what is this? What does this mean? Instead of letting it instill fear inside myself, I had little messages, I guess you would call them, in my head, because at that time I wasn't really using my psychic abilities. But there were subtle signs that says it's going to be okay. Having a supportive family was a huge part of that.
That's yeah.
My husband being there for me, saying, it's going to be okay. This is a sign. This is what you love to do. Do it. My children, I have children that are 27, 26, 14, and 11. So it's kind of a mixed bag. And so some of the signs that I see is when you stop and when something comes into your awareness and it makes you stop and think, even for a second. Take more than a second. Sometimes I've pulled over in my car and just breathe, let it in, and I trust what is coming into my awareness. I trust it and write it down. That's a biggie. Write down these little things, because they might not mean anything to you at that very second, but they may, even a day or even hours, it might mean something. And I encourage my clients to journal, because there are messages to your past if you're not, as people call, in tune. I don't consider myself any better than anyone else. I just have researched, and I have practiced bringing awareness into my life.
So raising awareness, well, obviously is the starting point. Without the awareness, you won't go anywhere. So you described that you had the support of your family and surrounding. That obviously is very helpful. That's not the case for everyone. You did embrace the fear, but however, what did you find challenging when you started? Because even if you went for doing something you love doing and helping others, etc., you were making a business out of it. So what did you find challenging in that process?
Well, what I found challenging is going into what I love to do. I was used to being in, the hospital world, that orderly world. Scheduled, everything had a time, and there was like no time to breathe. And going into where I could make everything up myself, as I went, I would say organization was a huge obstacle for me, because I was so used to being guided. You have to be at work at this time, and you have to do this at this time. And, as a phlebotomist, you have time draws, so your entire day is timed. And I didn't have to do that anymore. So that was a big challenge for me, is to organize myself.
And how did you do that? So how did you manage to go over that challenge?
Actually, I had some new friends that were in, the holistic field, that embraced me and helped me along the way, and helped me keep my courage and look at things in a new way, or try something new, something that worked for them. So I had, my friends in my new holistic life that were on the same path as me. Just, we shared. That's the one thing that is such a blessing, is having that sisterhood, if you want to call it, a camaraderie, to achieve each other's goals. There was no competition. So that was a strength that I embraced, is that we actually helped each other achieve goals instead of being competitive with each other.
Which is the recurring theme throughout all the interviews. It's always coming back to make sure that you have the right support, and make sure that you find like-minded people.
Yes.
That's really a key. And so you confirmed that you went through that as well, and then that definitely made a difference.
Yes, yes.
So how did you start working just locally? How did you
Yeah.
find your clients? How did you go along with that?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. My son worked at a coffee shop while he was in college,
Mm-hmm.
and this lady kept coming through at the same time, and she asked if she could put her cards in the store, and he said sure, and he looked at it, and it was a place that was local. An herbal pharmacy had just opened a wellness center like a year, prior to that, and my layoff had just happened, and I was looking for a space to practice instead of out of my home. I wanted a professional atmosphere for people to come to. So my son looked at her card and said, well, where is this? And she said, oh, right next to the herbal path in Dover, which is 10 minutes from my house.
Mm-hmm.
So he brought the card home and he said, Mom, you should check this out. This is probably a good place for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. And so I went and I met Jessica Borden, who is been an integral part of my growth. She is also a very successful businesswoman. She's an diagnostic ultrasound technician and has a very successful business. So we work side by side. I introduced her to aromatherapy. She fell in love with it and integrated that into her practice. And her and I instantly bonded.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still very close to this day. And I feel that it was almost like she was sent into my path on purpose. And we developed a product line together, and we still do things together, even though she does her own type of practice and I do mine. We still share, our modalities, and we both have just recently moved out of Journey to Wellness and have joined other groups, and it happened within months of each other. It was funny. But the name of the center is called Journey to Wellness. And it's a fabulous place for people to start. It's very affordable. And it's like a little family over there. And when I was leaving to a bigger space, they were so proud of me and supported me. And I'm still part of the family. And so now I'm in a much bigger space, and I'm closer to the Massachusetts border. So I have a little bit bigger of a range now. So the help of like-minded people is a really key. And that's why I'm here talking with you, because I want to reach as many people as I can and help them find their own synchronicities and their own power, if you want to call it, their inner warrior, to come out and slash that fear and just walk over it and just do what your heart pulls you to do.
Yeah, you're definitely preaching to the converted. So coming back to the challenges, because I really want the listeners to understand that it's not easy, but it's not because it's not easy that it means you cannot achieve it. So is there anything else that you've been encountering that you found less easy, and that you can give us an indication of how you handled it?
Well, one of the biggest obstacles for me is having, young children at home still. And their activities. I have girls that are dancers. There's 12 dance classes between them. Wow. And my husband, of course, works a full-time job. And I'm on various boards and committees of event planning to do holistic fairs for people to get out there and be able to show what they're doing. So I'm very busy. So going around other people's schedules is frustrating, because being the person that I am, I want to please everybody. So, the girls have dance and my husband has his work. And so the challenge was, how do I work and still be a mother and still be a wife and not have that disrupt too much, even though we all knew it was a change? But how do I do this and still maintain the mom and the wife? Because I didn't want to give up those roles to be able to be successful, which in a lot of cases does happen. Sacrifices are made, but I was determined that I was still going to be successful in what I was doing and still be a great mom and still be a great wife.
So that's certainly something that a lot of listeners can relate to. I'm sure that they are juggling with the same.
Yeah.
I certainly did as well at different points of my life. So how did you manage to do that?
Well, I can't say it's not a struggle.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're a human
I
being.
can't say that I haven't sat in a room feeling very alone and unsupported, but it's not all the time. Just get through that moment and ask your source, whatever that may be, to give you the answer to that. And another thing I did is I sat down with and had a serious talk with my family.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I do this for you, which I will do with a full heart. Now I need you to help me. So that's hard, especially for women and mothers and wives, is to ask their family to pitch in, to do things that I can't do while I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
And we have really, this past year has been fantastic because I can go around and say, okay, this is my schedule for this week. And my husband was, okay, I can pick up the girls this night, and this night. And I also have an extended family, of course, having older children, they also can help.
Yeah.
So I've learned to reach out and ask for help. And it's not the easiest thing to do for some people, but it's necessary.
Yeah, I really love that. The asking for help is really important, and the work I do with my clients is really about helping the women to step into the driver's seat of their life again. So put themselves back at the center of their life, and asking for support is okay. It doesn't make you less than a mother or a woman or etc. So I really love that you refer to that. So you ask for help. Do you find a room in your various roles, bouncing back on what I just said? Do you find time for yourself in that process?
Actually, that was a good challenge. I was burnt out in the beginning because I wasn't one to take time for myself. I've always been a giver and giver.
Yeah.
But I will say that I have in the past year that things have actually balanced out, made myself take time for myself. And what I do is yoga and meditation. I do it every single day, some days longer than others. But I tell myself, you deserve at least a half an hour to an hour a day all by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely important for you to go within and just be with yourself and just be. Nothing to do, nothing to think about, nothing to say. No, just be in the wonderful place you are, and that's yourself.
Mm-hmm. And so, because I really would love it for more women to understand that it is okay to find time for themselves. Sorry, but it's not only okay; it's beneficial. What do you see as a benefit for taking that time?
For me personally, taking that time is shutting down the clutter that's around me.
Mm-hmm.
In some instances, it can be chaotic. Things happen in our lives that require us to almost be forced to do that, so we don't become ill.
Mm-hmm.
Since I started my yoga practice and my meditation practice on a regular basis, I've actually lost weight. Mm-hmm. I've become healthier. Mm-hmm. I still have fear, but I deal with it. It's quicker, it's faster. It's not, it doesn't stay with me as long because I know what to do. That tool is, okay, I'm at that point. Mom needs to go in the bedroom. I shut the door. No one is to disturb me for a half an hour, period.
Yeah.
there's no negotiation because I need that time. And it was hard at first, but the benefits of me being able to go inside and get the answers I need for whatever I'm dealing with at that moment. It can be, anything to do with business or, family and home life. There's other things that are in our radar other than our work. So I use that tool for all of that.
Ah, fantastic. I love hearing that. Perfect. Excellent. Good for you, girl.
Thank you.
So we're nearing the end of the interview. Is there anything else that you would like to add that we did not touch, maybe, that you think could be helpful for other women who would want to go for their dreams?
I would say to the women out there, it doesn't matter what your circumstance is. Stepping outside of the box is stepping outside of that circumstance. Take a moment to sit, breathe, dream. It's okay. Dream that big, big dream, because when you tell the universe what you want, it will give it to you. It will set the path in front of you. And when you learn to be okay with being able to dream those big dreams, that journey will set its path right in front of you.
Perfect. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy, the one question I did not ask you is whether you were working virtually with people as well, or is it only locally?
It's locally right now, but I do want to do virtual classroom, various topics on empowerment. I'm a Reiki master, so I do Reiki classes 1 through master level that I would like to do. That's my next step. That's why I'm here with you, because I want to step into this virtual world. I want to be able to reach out to more people, as many as I can, in the time that I have. And locally is great, but it's time to spread out and reach as many as I can all over the world.
Ah, super. So where can people find you?
You can find me at www.yourearthenergy.com. It's currently under construction, so you'll just see my logo right now because I just moved to my office, so we're working on a new website. You can reach me by email at amy@yourearthenergy.com. You can also reach me by phone at 207-475-5158, and I'm happy to do readings, anything over the phone, via Skype, and now this fabulous thing called Zoom that I will look into.
Amy, I would just ask you to repeat your phone number, because I think that the quality of the sound went a little bit crazy.
Okay.
You repeating your phone number? And by the way, Amy is in the US, so that is 1 for the US before her number.
Okay, so 1-207-475-5158.
Super. Now I'm sure that they can have heard it. Super. Amy, thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed this this interview, this conversation with you. So Amy's interview will be released, well, they will hear it when they will hear it anyway, but the release date is on the 21st of September. And
Perfect.
the guest who will follow Amy is Tracy Revell, and that will be on the 28th of September. So as usual, her Amy's interview can be found on my website, and that is www.agnesvanrijn.com, ANYESVANRHIJN.com, and simply go to the navigation bar to the tab that says WWMTH show. Her interview will be there for 1 week, both in podcast and video formats, both for you to listen directly or to download, and after which it will be moved to the archives that you can access by opting in to the archives. Thank you again, Amy, and
thank you.
Thank you to all who listened. Goodbye.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.